What's up, muggles? So, we've got a lot to get into today, so we're just going to jump right into it. As you've seen from the title of the video, we're going to be going over books of the Wizarding World. And I have so much more of these than what I originally realized, so let's hop into it. We're going to start with books in particular that are unofficial and not affiliated with J.K. Rowling or Warner Brothers or anything like that. And we're going to start with The Hidden Myths in Harry Potter. What's unique about this one is that not only does it have a book that talks about the different symbols and creatures and locations in Harry Potter, it also comes with a map of the United Kingdom to show the locations where those mythological things were typically located. So this is a fun one, for all ages, as with all of the books that I'm about to go through here in a moment. And I think it's a really good one if you're just starting out into it. Bear with me here. I'm going to have to find all kinds of places to sit these. Another one is Fact, Fiction, and Folklore in the Harry Potter World, which is also an unofficial guide. And this just goes over more of the creatures, symbols, and locations within the world and what the meanings are behind those things. And you're going to see that's going to be a constant theme with some of these books going forward. Moving on to the next unofficial book, we have the Ultimate Unofficial Guide to the Mysteries of Harry Potter. Now, what's unique about this book is that it came out when we only had the first four Harry Potter books released. So, not only does it dive deep into analyzing those first four books, but it also has predictions towards the end of the book where they thought the series was eventually going to end. And it's just really interesting kind of reading through what people's ideas were at the time that early in the series. All right, so one thing you'll see from this video especially is I am huge into the artwork behind different movie series and video game series, and it's very fun to see the original concept drawings and paintings that people put together. And a lot of the time you get to see things that didn't exactly make it to screen exactly how it was originally designed. So it's really fun to kind of go through books when they publish them just to see the creative process, if you will. So one of those is the Wand Collection book by Harry Potter, and this just has a whole collection of images of all the different wand designs for the different characters that they created throughout the series. So it's really fun just to go and see all the designs for that. So this next section of books, I'm going to kind of run through really quick because a lot of them have a bit of overlapping images and subjects that they go over. So basically, this is the art collection that I've compiled from all the movies and even a little bit from Hogwarts Legacy that was released last year. The first of which is a book titled Newt Scamander, and this kind of focuses on the 2016 film Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, but it centers on Newt himself. Kind of gives a little bit of information about the character and the location he visits in that film, 1920s New York, and all of the creative concepts that went into that. And of course, it dives into the magical creatures associated with that film as well. Moving on. Now, this one was a really fun one to go through. These are the Harry Potter blueprints. And what's really fun about this one is that it's the blueprints of Hogwarts Castle and various other locations within the Harry Potter films, including Hogsmeade. I believe Hagrid's Hut is another section in this book as well. But I mean, it really dives deep into the architecture of everything that they created for this story, all the way down to measurements, pieces, you name it. So I highly recommend this one. This was super fun to go through. All right. Next, we have The Case of Beasts, which is related to the Fantastic Beasts film. And this is yet another kind of like film wizardry book that goes over the art and the concepts, the creatures, the locations, the sets of that film. And I love how they made it look like Newt Scamander's Case of Beast as well. So it's a super fun designed book. And then we got yet another art book for Fantastic Beasts. And this is basically the art of the film. Again, we're having some overlap here, but it has some unique images that some of the other books don't have. Then next, of course, we have The Archive of Magic. This is the film wizardry book for the Crimes of Grindelwald film, which is the second Fantastic Beast film. And this follows along the same concept as those first two books. And it's really fun to see the artwork of the film and the sets, the design that went into it. And I just love how it looks like a file that came from the French Ministry of Magic, which is where part of that film takes place. And then, of course, I had to do it. Another art book for The Crimes of Grindelwald. Again, has some unique images that don't make it into the film and some creatures that didn't make it into the film. So it was super fascinating going through this one as well. So, highly recommend. All right, now we're hopping back into the Harry Potter series itself. This is one of the original art books that came out. I believe it was shortly after the series concluded, or maybe shortly before. I can't quite remember. But this one is the Film Wizardry books. So not only does it cover the artwork of some of the films and some key moments, it also has a fair amount of paper-based props within the pages as well that you can actually remove and examine yourself. So I found this one to be super fun to go through. All right. So this one right here, I actually really enjoyed going through this one. This is the art book and the making of the Hogwarts Legacy video game that came out a year ago, and it was so much fun looking at all the creature and character designs, but especially the design of Hogwarts, which if y'all have been through that game, that is the most complete exterior and interior design and layout of Hogwarts I've ever seen in anything, book, movie, film, video game, anything like that. Like, this was the most complete version of Hogwarts I've ever seen in anything, and I just love how that front cover looks. So satisfying. But yeah, it's very, very neat artwork to go through, and you get to see some things that didn't necessarily make it into the video game that I know of, but it's just yeah, super satisfying to go through and see all the drawings and artwork that these guys came up with. They did a phenomenal job on that game. All right. This next book is pretty recent as far as when it was released, and this is the Harry Potter Mina Lima book. And this covers artwork from both the Harry Potter and the Fantastic Beast franchise. And it just really goes hardcore into how they designed all the props, the sets, and everything like that. And they also have some paper-based props that you can kind of open up and look through. I think some of them might be removable. I can't quite remember, but I really love the designs that Mina Lima come up with just in general. Everything just looks so symmetrical, and I love how they've gone into this trend of hiding different relevant objects from the series within their designs. Like, looking at it from far away, you wouldn't see it, but when you look closely, you can see all kinds of things. Like, there's the Fantastic Beast textbook, there's a howler, there's a newspaper, all kinds of fun things hidden in there. I just love little Easter eggs like that. All right. So the last one here is going to be the Page to Screen book, which is yet another artwork book of the Harry Potter series. Has some overlapping images with the other ones, like I said before, but also some unique images that I've never seen before that I don't recall seeing in the other books. And this one is quite expensive. Of course, it also is the size and weight of a textbook, if not more. So I mean, it'll set you back a little bit, but I personally think it's worth it for any Harry Potter fan to delve into this one. So yeah, love that color scheme too, the blue and gold. Very nice. All right. So now we're going to hop more so into the ones that J.K. Rowling wrote completely herself. So, towards the beginning of the series, when the books were still ongoing, she came out with a little collection of books, and they call it kind of the library books. And basically, these are textbooks within the Harry Potter series that Harry himself actually had his hands on and were reading for his classes and everything. And I thought this was a fun little concept that she came up with. So the first one is going to be Quidditch Through the Ages. I personally didn't find it a very riveting read, but still it's kind of fun to go through some of the details that she came up with just for the sport and everything. I think she had a little bit of fun with this one, even though Quidditch isn't her favorite. but I highly recommend. Then, of course, the more well known one, you have Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, which is written by a character in Harry Potter's world called Newt Scamander, who's a magizoologist, and he's traveling the world, learning about creatures, trying to educate people about them. So he created a textbook in order to educate people on the various magical beasts within the world. So this book was also the beginning of the Fantastic Beasts series that we know now, the movie series, because J.K. Rowling wrote this book and basically kind of felt like, maybe there is a little bit more to explore with this Newt Scamander character. I find him fascinating. And then there you go, you have the creation of the Fantastic Beasts series. So I think she had a whole lot of fun with that one. And if you know, she took the Fantastic Beasts series as an opportunity to learn more of the movie making side of things as far as how you write screenplays and things like that, and how you set up scenes with camera work and everything like that. And, as I'm someone who personally believes that you should try new things, and I think that's exactly what she did. So, moving on to another book that exists within Harry Potter's world that they actually had their hands on in Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows and in Deathly Hallows Part 1 and Part 2. And this is a book called The Tales of Beetle the Bard. Now, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I believe J.K. Rowling wrote this book and all of the proceeds went to charity. So, I think that's pretty dang cool that she did that. But basically, what this is a collection of children's stories of the wizarding world. Kind of like we have fairy tales in our world and things like that. They kind of follow the same trend. They got, strife, conflict, climax in the story, and then a ending. And sometimes the endings and the process getting to that ending is a lot darker than what might be appropriate for children. But the same goes for the fairy tales in our world. Like, people don't know stories like Cinderella are a lot worse than how you see it in Disney and things like that. So, I personally enjoyed this book, and it, of course, ends with The Tale of the Three Brothers, which is a story that they go over in Deathly Hallows Part 1 as the origin of the Deathly Hallows themselves, the Elder Wand, the Resurrection Stone, the Invisibility Cloak. So basically, this is the actual written version of the story that Hermione reads to the others to educate them about these three artifacts. So that one in particular was super fun to read, but you also have The Wizard and the Hopping Pot, Babbity Rabbity that Ron mentions that are in this book as well. And there's also a story called The Fountain of Fair Fortune, which is one of those life lesson type of stories where the characters set out on this quest to find something that they think they need, but by the time they get to the end of the story, they realize they didn't need those things after all. They had what they needed the entire time, or they found things within each other, the group, and it's really fascinating to read. So, yeah, highly recommend Tales of the Beetle the Bard. All right, so this next one's a bit controversial amongst the Harry Potter fan base. I think it was a lot more well received initially than what it was when people actually got through it. And that is the eighth book, Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, which is actually a screenplay, if you will, or a script of the play that takes place in New York. That's where the story is actually being told right now. But this follows the story of Harry Potter's child, Albus Severus Potter, and of course he's going through all kinds of things of being he's trying to like live through the life of amounting to the legacy of having Harry Potter as your father, and it's about his time to go to Hogwarts. This is basically a continuation of the final scene in the Harry Potter series where he's dropping off his kids to get on the Hogwarts Express and go to Hogwarts to start school. And it has quite a bit of conflict in it and a whole lot of time travel. It can get a little convoluted here and there, and you learn that there may have been a darker side to some beloved characters that we didn't previously know about that was only brought to light because of how the story changes with the time travel. But I'm not sure the ending was completely and totally resolved between Harry and Albus, but it was just a new thing, and we'll just leave it at that. This next book is another unofficial book. This is the unofficial Harry Potter cookbook, so no association with J.K. Rowling, Warner Brothers, anything like that. Basically, in a nutshell, this book is a collection of British themed recipes given fun Wizarding World names like Hagrid's Rock Cakes or Harry Potter's Birth Cake, things like that. But all in all, the recipes are actually pretty darn good. And I've actually made some of them at the firehouse myself, and they were, big hitters up at the station. So yeah, I highly recommend this one if you feel like being magical in your kitchen someday. All right. So these next three books are books that I, of course, had to have as the Fantastic Beasts series is still ongoing, and that is the screenplays for the books. So the first one, of course, you got the Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them screenplay. Now, what I can say about the screenplays is that even though they are pretty much the script of the films, they still have details and lines that don't make it into the film, and I found that quite fascinating. But again, you have the Mina Lima designed covers that, from far away, they look fascinating, and I love that gold foiling. Everything's so symmetrical, and I just really love that look. But if you look closer, you can actually see hidden things in the designs of the books. Now, with this being Fantastic Beasts, they went hardcore into hiding various Fantastic Beasts within the cover. Like you got a rune spore right there, which is basically a three-headed snake. And you got a Niffler right there in the middle. Love that guy. He's hilarious. You got some Billywigs up here. You got swooping evils in the top corners here. I just love how they've designed this book. And even the covers behind the sleeve are fun to look at, and they're very textured, and you got more of that gold foiling. And I really enjoyed this screenplay from a design standpoint for sure. So obviously, naturally, we're going to jump right into the second screenplay, which is The Crimes of Grindelwald. And again, Mina Lima hopped into making a super symmetrical gold foiling design, and I love how they changed up the color scheme a little bit. And they're kind of making it seem a little bit more dark, but I just feel that this color scheme fits the film Crimes of Grindelwald a lot better than what Blue and Gold did. Blue and Gold was perfect for Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, kind of fit Newt's color scheme with his outfit. But again, you have a super symmetrical design from far away, but up close, you have hidden things into the design. So you have obviously the Deathly Hallows symbol hidden down there in the bottom. Gellert Grindelwald, the main bad in this series, was heavily into the Deathly Hallows, particularly the Elder Wand, most of all. And then, of course, you have another, you got Nifflers on there, you got the Eiffel Tower in the center there. But what I found really fun is that right there in the center, you have the Philosopher's Stone hidden in there because there's obviously a big character first time on screen reveal in this film that I really enjoyed at the time. All right. So moving on to the screenplay for The Secrets of Dumbledore. I had my feelings about this one because I feel like it was a missed opportunity. Um, I love the cover and all that, but I have an issue with some continuity here. I feel like they should have continued on with the designs of the first two books. Instead, maybe going with a black and red or red and gold aesthetic, making a super symmetrical cover, something of that nature. But instead, they just went with the image of a movie poster for the book. So I think that was a huge missed opportunity there. But outside of that, I always love just the image of Hogwarts itself. I love just the way the castle looks and everything. Like I'm a big guy when it comes to architecture. So any image of Hogwarts I love, especially in its current look where you got the astronomy tower and everything incorporated into it. But yeah, such a fun image to look at. So I will give them props on that. I do love the look of that. And you got a phoenix in there, of course, which is a huge icon of the Dumbledore family. But there again, just like the other two books, content wise, you have stuff in there that you didn't necessarily see in the films lines. There's even some images accompanied in this one of sets and flyers and creature drawings. So it's still a fun book to read, but yeah, again, super missed opportunity there for the cover. They could have definitely went with the same design. And on top of that, I'll just kind of show a little side by side here. They made them different sizes too. It's like, what are you doing to me? All right, moving on to our next to last book here, a fairly recent release from J.K. Rowling. It's A History of Magic, which is actually a name of a textbook that, our Hogwarts students use in school. There's literally a class that they go to called The History of Magic. And if I remember correctly, that class was taught by a ghost who was super dry, and it was extremely difficult for the students to stay awake in class. But this book in particular dives into the real life witchcraft things that influenced J.K. Rowling and how she came up with a lot of the different concepts and things that the characters encountered. And it's really fun just to see how much work she put into not just this book, but in pre planning how she was going to write the Harry Potter series and all the details and world building that she eventually put into it. So, yeah, highly recommend this one. And it's got so many beautiful designs in here and artifacts. So, yes, all around super fun read of many different topics. So, everybody should definitely have this in their library if they're a Harry Potter fan. Moving on to the last book, and this one's a super recent release, and that's the Wizarding Almanac for Harry Potter. Now, this one is another one of those books that dives deep into the symbology and artifacts and creatures and sets, locations of Harry Potter. And I believe Mina Lima had great influence in this as well. But they have all kinds of fun things in here and even a dark arts section, which I found quite fascinating. But there's even a wizarding timeline that kind of chronologically goes through everything that takes place during the story. But all in all, it was a super fun read, I felt. So that's the last book in this one. Hope everybody enjoyed and hope that this video led you to maybe purchase some of these for yourself just so you can experience all the things I got to just by reading these. Like it's not very often that you truly get a magical feeling from reading books, but a lot of the Harry Potter books just nail that on the head. So, hope you guys enjoy and have a good day.